So we're back here with Kenny Frost, and again, I'm Barbara Bad Elk,
and I'm Sam.
And I'm going to start off with a question that I had for the last topic we were on about. I was about to say skinwalkers. Are they considered like a negative energy, a bad entity amongst Native people? It's not really talked about, you know.
One of the interesting things is that before I touch upon that subject is skinwalkers have been around for a long time, since the beginning of time, and because I work with the spiritual realm and also protecting our sacred places, that I've read in one of the early um, documentation when the early settlers first came to our continent, particularly in the northeast part of the United States, that some of the traders were invited into a ceremony. I think it was a sweat ceremony, if I recall correctly. And in that ceremony, the native people, or the medicine man at that time, he had this non-native guy in the ceremony. Well, according to his writings, that the non-native ceremony looked over at the chief or medicine man who was conducting the ceremony and saw the medicine man transform himself from a bear into a wolf and into another animal. And this non-native said, I was afraid, I was scared, I didn't know what to think. But this native man who was older, powerful, wiser, did these things, and after the ceremony was over, the medicine man told me, do not come over here and hurt or harm our people, or our people will come and hurt you and kill the rest of your people who come here. And he took that as a warning, went back to England or wherever he came from over the big pond, and relayed that story, and they laughed at him. And as history went on, a lot of the people who came over were eventually killed. So for our skinwalkers, and because the belief system is so strong with the Navajo people, and that's what I conveyed on the storyline, was this skinwalker was of Navajo origin, that for them, they don't like talking about it. They don't like hearing stories because it's so ingrained into the Navajo culture and the children that they don't talk about it because it exists. It does happen. And they have accepted it, and they're deathly afraid of it. I remember I asked one of the Navajos, one of my friends, and I said, hey, do you believe in that? And he, like, don't even talk about that with me anymore. I don't, and we're not supposed to talk about that. Oh, okay, I guess you do believe in it, huh? Good again. So for them, it's really, I mean, it's scary to them, to certain ones. Some are freely and able to talk about it. They know it exists, but to others, they're deathly afraid. And mind you, we can say skinwalkers, but often the terms amongst other Indian tribes is shapeshifters, because a lot of Indian tribes do have shapeshifters in their own particular tribes too as well. Similar to the northeastern part, he calls them shapeshifters, where the medicine man shape shift into an animal. So a lot of our tribal cultures and customs with different tribes, they don't call them skinwalkers, they call them shapeshifters.
Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and at the time, I can talk about it now freely, but I think like my personal experiences, two days to a week is like, did that really happen? Did I really see that? And then because it happened at night, I didn't want to go outside at night, and because those things, are elders, and it doesn't matter what Indian tribe we come from, they tell you don't go outside at night, don't mess around at night. That's when the spirits are alive and well, and that's when they're the strongest, is at night. And you don't know what's out there. And how many times have we heard our parents and grandparents tell us, don't go playing at night. You come in, as soon as it gets dark, come into the house right away.
Yeah, I know that just recently a friend of mine who lives in the Pacific Northwest area told me about the stick people or stick Indians. And it's one of those things that she said, because I was inquiring about it, after she told me, a short story about it, I wanted to know more. And she said, no, we don't talk about it. Like, don't talk about it. And because I guess it's kind of like a calling card when you talk about it, just like, a lot of us believe that if we talk a lot about spirits, that's more like a calling card. So, like even now, that's why, we lit Sam lit the sage, and just to keep herself cleansed, and hopefully no one's here, but knowing my daughter, someone is
If
here.
they are, welcome.
Well, you gotta love it when it's on cue, when the thunder goes off in the background.
Well, that was because of you, I think. You brought that on. But yeah, just
Florida.
no.
Florida.
And believe it or not, for whatever reason, because long ago, I had this medicine man. He always knew whenever I was doing crazy things or things weren't going correctly in my own life, that this medicine man was. And long ago, when I was younger, we didn't have cell phones. He had the old-fashioned party line telephones. So, and then we would change numbers, but he always knew how to get a hold of me, and he would say, "Are you okay? Everything okay with you?" And because he was kind of my mentor and teacher, because he knew that my great great grandfather was a medicine man, war chief, and sub chief, that I had those gifts, and I've always been able to hear voices and see things and do things that on a supernatural realm, I guess is probably the best way to explain it. So he was kind of mentoring me, and I would tell him, so how did you get this number? We changed it. You forget who I am. So one time I was going through some hardships in my personal life, and he said, you need to come up here for ceremony. Come stay with me. So I went up to Montana, and he would tell me all the things and taught me the medicine way of the people up there in Montana. And so he would tell me things, and I learned a lot of things from him. And he was an older gentleman, and he passed on, but he was very powerful. And he always knew things with people, and we sit in the sweat, and I would sit beside him, and he'd say, watch what I do. People say, who's that? Oh, I'm teaching him. He does things, but he can help you too. But he just listens. And that's all he's going to do is listen. So I did. I listened to him and stuff. And one day he said, I know long ago you got in a car wreck. You passed away, but you came back. And when you pass away, the people who pass away, they go into this afterworld. And I said, yeah, I was up here above there was a blowout in the car, but I could look down onto the car, and the car was upside down. Wheels were up, and I could see the steam coming up. And he said, you heard something, huh? I said, yeah, I did. I said, I could see myself down there beside the car, the hood, maybe 6 inches right here on the side, and the car was right here. And I saw myself there, and then all of a sudden I heard a voice say, not your time. And boom, just like that, I woke up, and I didn't feel no pain in my neck. So I pushed up, then the shooting pain in my neck was so sharp a pain that you can't describe, and I hit the ground real quick. That's when that pain just fluctuated, and really painful. And I pulled myself up from the car and told my cousin, said, "Are you okay?" So I'm stuck in my seatbelt. I'm okay though. I said, "I'm hurt. I don't know what my neck hurts." And he said, "I tried to open the door. I couldn't open the door." So my neck was kind of dangling like a chicken. You know how a chicken is, just like that, and like that. And I had to pull my shirt like that, real tight. We're coming back from a softball game, and so I said, "I'm gonna go get help." And so I went walking. My leg just felt like a jello. It just I went down and landed on my back because I knew how to land. And it took me probably 3.5 hours to walk 100 feet. And I went down this arroyo. They pulled me up. And so the old man said he died long ago too. And for the people who have the ability that pass on but yet believe strongly in their traditional ways, that's how they're able to communicate with the spirits. Because when our bodies leave our physical self, we're we're able to see and hear the spirits. And they say you can see your ancestors and people who have crossed over long ago. For me, I did see the old ones up there. So he said he also did the same thing, then came back. And so that's how we're able to communicate with those up there and understand what they're saying and hear these voices. Where I'm able to walk any land out there, any Indian reservation, hear these voices, go this way, go that way, walk this way, go there. And we find things that are like Vision Quest site, burial site, anything like that. And so he said, yeah, you could do that. You have the ability. He did that too. The funny thing was too, one day we're just outside. He says, you know what? He said, everything you done, not good. But that's okay because now I got you and correcting you and you don't do those things no more. But in order to help people, you have to be able to understand what they're going through. You got to know how it feels to wake up sick. You got to feel how not to feel good. You got to feel the hurt. You got to feel the pain because it's like the alcoholic. These people who help alcoholics maybe don't drink in their life. They don't know how it feels to wake up sick. They don't know how it feels to wake up in a broken marriage. They don't know how to feel all these things that people go through. That non-native or that person who's trying to help the people don't know. So how can they help them? For us, he said, we have to understand how people feel in order for us to help them because those who want to help can tell a fake immediately. And then they say, well, how can you help me? You never got drunk before, or you never had a broken marriage, or you never lost family members, and all these things. The list could go on. And if that person never gone through those things, they can't help the people. And that's what that old man's was telling me was you got to feel that. But now, once you pass that, then your life will be okay because now you've gone through that hard part in your life, which is basically true. And I can understand now, thinking back on him, because I was thinking about him when we were going through the stories, some of the teachings that he was saying with, because we all come from different tribes, and we all are not different. We're unique as human beings, but yet what ties us all as one people from different tribes is our belief system of the Creator, the belief system with the spirits, and our understanding with the spirits. That we all have this, and we can connect because our stories, when you think about it, are all the same. That's what ties us together as Native people and the indigenous people around the world. We all have those same similar experiences, but our stories may be different, our language may be different, our culture may be different, but yet we're still tied to the Creator as the super being and the spiritual realm of the world because we all come from that. We have those experiences. And believe it or not, non-natives who are tied to that realm also can understand what we're saying too, and that's what makes us unique as human beings on Mother Earth, and that's the best part.
Now, could you touch on, and I've been wondering about this because just recently, someone down here in Florida was telling me that there's a state park that has Bigfoot. Bigfoot sightings in state, down here in Florida. And of course, that's a known up in the Pacific Northwest. And I didn't know if you had some stories about or knew some knowledge about Bigfoot.
Oh, I do, and definitely. I grew up with my grandmother. One day, probably when I was still in high school, she told me the winters in Colorado used to be notorious for deep snow, and we don't get the snows that we did long ago. But one day, when my mom and her brothers were probably teenagers, and they lived where my house is, just I could see the old house where it used to be. And she said she was raising the kids in a 3-bedroom house or 2-bedroom house, and they used to light things by kerosene. One day, she said the dogs were barking. They were barking, and then she's like looking out, and the snow was deep, probably 6 foot high, coming up past the house. And it was a pretty high porch, and so she looked out the window, and the morning light was just slowly shining, but no, it was moonlight. The moonlight, and it was kind of dark, but it was light, real bright, and the reflection was hitting the sun. I mean, the snow, where it looked like it was bright. And so she looked over there, and she could see this big white thing coming up, tall, big, walking up, and the dogs got quiet, and she looked. And she told the kids, "Look over there. Don't say nothing. Don't make noise." They all looked up, and they could see this 2-track, because it was a wagon road, old-fashioned wagon road, coming up, and they could see it. And as it got closer, it was dark, and it was Bigfoot walking up the road. And so, so that next morning they got up, and the kids said, what was that?" They said, "I don't know. Let's go down there." There was no wagons because it was early in the morning, but the sun was coming up. They saw the tracks were big, big, big tracks, and she said that was Bigfoot. So that was my first indoctrination into Bigfoot. So when I got into high school, I did research and found all these stories from all over the world. Florida to California, Washington State to New York, Canada, Nepal, all over. So I did a research and got a good grade for it because, after that phrase, what got me enthralled studying and looking for Bigfoot. So I went up to always the Northwest, where you're from, was always intriguing. I always wanted to go up there, and I had the opportunity to go to British Columbia. I ran into some people there and said, "Hey, you guys have Bigfoot up here." They looked at me and said, "Where are you from?" "Colorado." "Don't you have Bigfoot down there?" "Yeah, sometimes they say they see Bigfoot, but up here they always have them." "Yeah." They said, "Those guys will tell you." So I walked over to them and said, "Hey, I heard you guys are the Bigfoot. You know where Bigfoot's at." "Who said that?" "Those guys over there." "Oh, those are our relatives." And because we're Indian people, we're all tight. "Yeah, you want to go see Bigfoot?" "Okay." Said, "Come over here, meet 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, and we'll take you up that way. So, but don't wear good clothes. Wear Levi pants, shirt, jacket, or it could be kind of cold." So we get there, and so as soon as I get off, they're already there. They got coffee. We're drinking coffee, and "Okay, you ready to go for a walk?" I said, "Yeah, we're ready to go." Hand me this elephant gun. "Here." He started laughing. I said, "Dave, what kind of gun is this?" I think it was a this big, heavy duty gun. "What are we doing with this? Going to go elephant? No, we're going to protection. Then we're going into the brush. There's coyotes and wolves and Bigfoot." "Oh, okay." Bigfoot's not friendly sometimes. I said, "I know. He throws big rocks at people and kills and hurts them." "Yeah, so this is protection." So we walk and walk and walk, and they said, "We got lunch. Don't worry about it." So we walk probably 20 miles into the brush in Washington State, British Columbia. The trees are thick. I mean, you can't even see, through the trees. They're so thick. And then we stop, and they kept looking up in the trees, and kept wondering. I'm looking up there too, wondering what they're looking at. Keep walking, keep walking. Finally, we stop. God's looking up, and I'm looking up and wondering, what are we looking at? And he said, see right up there? So I've been looking at the trees to find his markings, and they said, where? They said, way up there, about 14, 15 feet high. Oh, okay. They said, you see that mark going across like that on that tree? I said, yeah, that's like a bear. They marked their territory. Bigfoot's marking his. I said, wow, that's not a bear. That's 14 feet tall and stuff. I said, that's Bigfoot marking his territory. And they said, see right over there, you see hair hanging down? There's a long piece, maybe 6 inches, and hanging down silvery. And they get a stick and they break off the tree limb and said, look. Looked at it. Hey, pulled on it. It was like hair. Finally, eventually, it broke like our hair. And they said, it's silver. And it's way up there. And then we're standing there, we're just looking, and all of a sudden we smell this, bad odor, like you're standing next to it. I mean, with that sewer, it's that bad. And one of the guys, he said, you smell that? And he said, yeah, that's bad. He said, that's big. But he said like that, that's Bigfoot. He didn't say it loud. It's over there somewhere, I think. So he pointed, we're looking over that way, got our rifles. And then all of a sudden you could hear the tree making noise coming down. And he said, okay, now we better go because he's coming towards us. So we took off back down the trail and said, okay, you didn't see him, but you smelled him. Saw his marks. I said, yeah, that's good. Walking, could hear the trees just falling behind us. But on the side, he was almost keeping up with us, but he was still a little bit further behind us, probably 15, 20 feet, I'm guessing. But the trees were just coming down, knocking down, just walking. And we get down, we could smell the odor because it was following us and the wind was blowing just right. So as we're walking, then finally the smell disappeared and we kind of stopped and no more trees were falling. We said, okay, he's back there somewhere. We're okay, so we walked back and it was interesting. And as we were walking back, we looked down on the ground and it was kind of misty when we started off. And they stopped and they said, look right here. Right in front of us, right before we were getting back, a Bigfoot had crossed our path where before there was no tracks. So they said, Bigfoot's in this area. Maybe that's him coming across, or maybe that's his buddy. So it was interesting because the tracks were probably 1.5 feet long and wide, and you could see the toes, and it was right into the mud and stuff. And he grabs a stick, pokes around, and you could see the mud right there. So we knew it was fresh. He could be right over there watching us, or maybe just passing through. But it was interesting. Then the next time we went to a powwow in Washington State, we stopped at Mount Hood on top of this hill, and we're over there looking around, me and my friend, and our friends who were our guide and who were from Washington or Oregon. I think we were going to Yakima, and so, but they were showing us around. So my friend, he got off, we got off, and we're looking around, and with this pass, you can see Mount Hood way out in the distance. So he goes like this and whistles, and to hear the echo, and next thing we're standing there, and they're yelling at us, like, what are you doing whistling? You got no business whistling. You're not supposed to whistle over here. What's better? It's not nighttime, because we're taught never to whistle at night. And we told them, well, they tell us not to whistle at night. It's daytime. Nothing's going to happen. No. They're getting after us. Like, no, you don't whistle over here at night, daytime, anytime, because you're going to call Bigfoot. Now, listen. and they were yelling. I mean, I'm telling the way I'm telling the story is real nice, but we're getting chewed out. I mean, really getting chewed out. Like we did something wrong. Like, well, we did do something wrong according to their eyes. To us, we were just plain innocent. And then way off in the distance, you heard a whistle. Not when you do something with the echo, it comes back really quick. This was like a minute, 2 minutes later. He looked at us and said, "Now, look what you did." We just looked at each other. We kind of didn't know whether to laugh or, we're kind of quiet. And then right over this way, this other direction, another whistle comes. Not immediately, but a minute later. And then back behind us was a whistle came back immediately, which was much more closer. And he said, "That one's over there. That's Bigfoot. It's closer to us." And then this other whistle came back, and then he whistled again behind us, another whistle. And then all of a sudden, behind us, you could hear the trees falling on the ground, just falling. He said, "That one back there is coming closer to us." And we just stood there listening. You could tell, judging by the distance and the sound of the trees falling on the ground, it was moving closer and closer because it was getting louder. And we got into the car and said, "Come on, we got to get out of here." So we were on top of this hill, we're going down this hill like, a, just like, getting the heck out of Dodge and stuff. I mean, just we're holding on to the car. They were like looking at each other. As we're going down, we're getting chewed out. Started everything. Finally, we hit the bottom, and he pulls off, and he said, "The other whistle's down there somewhere. Don't whistle." And we all got off and kind of catch our breath, and we're like, "Dang, that's the fastest ever came down off any mountain." Because the car was screeching, it was going around curves and stuff, and that's how fast these guys were serious. And they were scared, and of course we were scared because we thought we were going to wreck and stuff and catching our breath. They tell us, read us the riot, never whistle again, because that's how you call Bigfoot. When you watch looking for Bigfoot on TV, sometimes you hear the people who are non-natives never whistle because that's how you call Bigfoot, or never make this noise, grunting or that sound. That's how you call Bigfoot because that's how Bigfoot communicates. So even for non-natives, they have those stories because they've been around areas where Bigfoot is heavily seen in that area that they know, and I'll be watching it and everything. In fact, Pagosa Springs, which is probably 45 minutes away, from time to time I'll hear stories Bigfoot's in the area in Pagosa because it's a mountain in the mountains where the start of the Rocky Mountains start before we hit, or a portion of the Rocky Mountains. You'll hear stories, and then maybe a week later I'll hear stories from some of my Navajo friends in Shiprock. "Hey, we have Bigfoot sightings down here." And it's interesting because Shiprock on Navajo land is kind of turning into a hotbed of Bigfoot sightings. One of my friends told me that they have along the San Juan River, they'll have the police, New Mexico State Police, New Mexico Sheriff, Navajo Police, and another law enforcement agency going along the riverbank doing, they say, search and rescue training. And then my friend who works in law enforcement said, no, that's what they're telling the general public. What they're doing is they heard sightings in Pagosa that Bigfoot came down through the area. That's what they're looking for along the riverbank is Bigfoot sightings. Now, one of the interesting things is that one of my friends who's a teacher at one of the schools in Navajo Res, they have Bigfoot lockdown. If you can, where Bigfoot's sighted in the area, they'll lock down the school.
Oh my God.
That's how big a hotbed it is down there. In fact, one of my friends who I friended, by accident had a Bigfoot. She does Bigfoot, looks for Bigfoot. Well, in one of her polls, she showed a Bigfoot track that she went out. She actually goes out and looks for Bigfoot. and has photographs of Bigfoot tracks that she found on the Navajo reservation. The tracks are probably a foot, foot and a half long, and with the photograph on her webpage or on her Facebook page that she found Bigfoot stuff, and she actually does that. Now, the interesting thing is with the Navajos, we all know every Indian reservation has law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Navajo reservation has a group of Navajo officers, and I can't remember the correct name of them, but they go out looking for Bigfoot, extraterrestrials, aliens, skinwalkers, and all the things that goes against the Navajo belief system. But there's a group of officers who's dedicated and have documented the unknown, the spiritual realm of Native people, particularly with Navajos, where they got photographs of Bigfoot tracks, Bigfoot, I think one video, space aliens, a lot of skinwalkers stories. I was reading this last encounter that they had posted was, they were patrolling, and no, this was a Navajo police, and there's two non-natives were cruising through Navajo land. They were cruising, they stopped. This is their actual account of the non-natives. They stopped to use a bathroom. They kind of got lost and they didn't know where they were, but they could see the city lights way out there, and so that's where they were going. But they had to go through. They took a shortcut, and thinking that they were going to go through there. While they were using the bathroom, they encountered a skinwalker, and this skinwalker started coming towards them. They jump in their car and they're speeding, and this thing's just keeping up with them behind them. And they said they were going on this dirt road and they could just see the eyes, the reflection of the brake lights. And they're getting close to town. This Navajo police officer stops them. Why are you speeding? Where are you going so fast and everything? Well, we're kind of lost. And they said, we saw an animal back there, described it and everything. Navajo police officer says, jump in the car. I'll lead you guys out of here. Follow me. Stay right on my tail. Because that Navajo police officer saw the skinwalker, and they all took off like the bat out of hell. And they got over there and they pulled off underneath this light as we're getting close to town. The officer says, where'd you see this at and stuff? And they described where and stuff like that. But the officer said, don't ever come on Navajo reservation at night. I'm supposed to be patrolling that way because what you guys saw that way, I'm going to go this way and stay on the main road. I'm not going to be looking for it. So there's a lot of non-native accounts that are out there of people seeing skinwalkers and even Bigfoot. And it's kind of interesting because my friend, she had posted something, well, she's not my friend, I haven't met her yet, but I read her accounts, and they had the Shiprock Fair going on 3 weeks ago, I guess, now. And so they had a checkpoint, and police officer looking at her license and says, oh, you're so-and-so, huh? Said, yeah. Oh, you're the Bigfoot lady who goes out looking for Bigfoot. And as she writes, I don't know whether that's good or bad when a police officer says you're the Bigfoot lady, and the law enforcement was reading your Bigfoot page and stuff, and said, and the officer agreed with her, says, yeah, I've seen a few in my time as an officer and stuff. So it just makes you wonder how many people have seen these things, how many believe in them, and how many of our Native people. And you go up to Northwest, and I'm sure, Barbara, you probably even heard relatives or friends say, yeah, we saw Bigfoot the other day as we're going somewhere or doing things. And so they exist. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you start throwing rocks at trees, like you get the heck out.
I heard about the throwing rocks.
This is the first time I'm hearing any of this. And
oh yeah, you do a little bit of research. You always hear about Bigfoot throwing rocks or trees at people. And some people even got hit by those rocks, and then law enforcement comes out and they look at it, and they also see those things happening to them too as well.
Really?
They've just marked it down as unexplainable.
Huh.
Yeah, what fascinates me is the funding that must go into these, like the Navajo Police Department, for police officers and investigators to check this stuff out, because there has to be some truth to it if money is being funneled into these programs. So it just makes you think. I mean, I've never had any experience with Bigfoot or skinwalkers. Skinwalkers, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard to believe something if you haven't seen it.
Right.
I mean, like, we believe in ghosts, our spirits. I mean, that's because we've experienced that. And as far as the UFO, now that's something I believe in because I have an experience with a UFO craft. Not saying it's from space, but again, unidentified flying object, which was too surreal to be, I've never seen anything like that before in my entire life, and had an after, but it was this low flying silver craft, almost very metallic, flying right alongside my vehicle when I was 22 years old on a country road outside of Philadelphia. And it was a Saturday morning. No, I didn't do drugs, but I was just driving there with my friend and another coworker. We're going to a park and we're just enjoying ourselves, windows down, beautiful weather outside, music streaming from the radio, and we're just talking, chatting. And I hear her gasp. I look over because I'm driving. I look over to the passenger window, and there's this silver metallic craft that is right beside our car, probably about 20 feet out. And it was, we just screamed, and then we didn't do, it was like, it happened so fast. I looked at the road, looked back, and it was gone. And it's something that we both could never explain. But yeah, so I believe in UFOs. I don't understand, like I said, I probably not, if I ever run into a Bigfoot, that'd be really cool, but maybe not. I don't know.
One of the interesting things was when I worked with the tribe, I worked in natural resources as the second in command of all our tribal resources. And I remember the elders used to tell me, because I just started and I was young, and they said never go out to the east part of the reservation, well, where Bigfoot hangs out. But they said never go out there at night, late at night, because there's things you don't want to see out there. But they never really told me what was out there. They said you might see things that were flying, or you might see things that are walking around out there, and you don't want to be out there. Don't go out there by yourself either. Always have a gun and protect yourself. So I never did, and it wasn't until when I finally put two and two together that when I was down at Jicarilla, because Jicarilla Reservation borders the Southern Ute Reservation, and I was down there visiting my friend who's a medicine man, and we were sitting out there, and I had a hotel room. They brought me down to give a talk, so that's why I was there. So we're sitting outside late at night, and then I'm sitting there with them, and we're laughing, joking around, and all of a sudden I told him, shh, be quiet. He just looked at me and says, what is it? What do you hear? I pointed up. I said, looked up, pitch dark, it was black. I told him, you hear that? Oh, that? I said, yeah, the one that's going. He said, oh, yeah, those things come around all the time. And it was a Black Hawk helicopter. I said, yeah. So I said, what's it doing here? It's got no lights, nothing on. Oh, it's going over to that mountain over there. And that mountain that he was referring to was Archuleta Mesa, which is on my reservation, where before that was the same mountain that the elders had told me never to go out there and see. So I told him, I said, what are they doing over there? I was playing dumb. He said, oh, they fly around over there. The United States military flies over there. Those spaceships come and go. I started laughing. I said, are you kidding? You really? He said, yeah, if you sit here for a while, we'll sit out here for a while, and person you're going to see is light shoot off. Well, we sat there, we were just drinking coffee, laughing, but we kept watching. He said, just keep watching over there. Looked at his clock. Yep, should be almost time. And sure enough, there was a light. Took off. I mean, really quick. It's like, I said, was that light? He said, yeah, those spaceships taking off. And then when that spaceship took off, that light was dim, and you could see the silhouette, the helicopter right in front. And the light had broken, and you could see the helicopter. Oh, that helicopter just sitting there hovering and watching. Yeah, that's what that helicopter does at night, almost every night. Sometimes they don't come over, but sometimes they sit there. And you could just see that helicopter silhouette. And I said, oh, that's what those elders used to tell me. Don't come over there at night. He said, yeah, we tell people don't go up there at night because you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe those aliens might take you and do experiments on you. And, they say, you know how Indian people get, they tell stories, they might look at your body parts, steal a part.
Yeah, no problem here.
So he was telling me, he said, yeah, don't go over there. Don't go home that way tonight. I said, dang, I said, no kidding. But then I started checking into that, and I would ask some of the one elder that was still alive from that era of those elders that I grew up with. And he said, yeah, that's what those old people used to say, those spaceships take off that way. They used to ride a wagon from Dulce this way at night. The horses can see, so they just let the horses follow the track home. He used to say those aliens be flying over there. So supposedly there's an alien base underneath Mesa Mountain. And when I used to drive up there during the daytime, I used to see things that I didn't, at the time, I didn't know what they were. They were things that were out of place that shouldn't be there. And, now reflecting back and thinking about that, which I did at the time, I told him, yeah, I saw some things like a pipe sticking out of the ground. And he said, oh, that pipe was probably that air shaft going down for air. But it was over by a tree, which was different, strange. But I didn't think it. Look at that. What's that pipe doing over there by that tree coming out? So years later, after learning all these things that we know now, thinking back is maybe there is a spaceship over there that's unexplainable. That's like I went to the Mitten song this summer. I was taking photographs. I ran into a Navajo man over there, and he said, you see those drawings on that cliff over there? He said, yeah. He said, I saw you take pictures of that. I said, yeah, I did. It looks like some kind of language. He said, that's what those old folks used to say, that's some kind of language. That mountain that's right there on that Mitten or Navajo monument, said they always see lights taking off too, similar to what we saw over at Archuleta Mesa. That those old folks used to say those aliens, those people from outer space, they live right there in that mountain, opens up and stuff. I looked at him and said, really? He said, yeah. He said, that's what they say. He said, you believe in it? I said, yeah, I believe in it. So it's, our elders from long ago, they knew these things, and sometimes you look at the rock art that's left on cliffs or pictographs of our ancestors long ago, they would do the drawings of space aliens and stuff that are what they seen, and so they put it on the cliffs, and that's what we see today. So I always say our people, even though they weren't the greatest artists in the world, and it's hard to draw on rocks, but they left a part of history of things that they saw that existed, and some of those are space aliens too, because in a way I can read rock art along with Sally Cole, who's non-native, supposed to be the rock art expert, but I've done interpretations, and she's basically told classes that as she shows this picture of a rock art verbatim what I interpret it. So my friends would say, well, how come she don't ask a native? Because I tell them, well, it's too easy that non-natives want to figure out, say they're the experts, and rather than ask an Indian. Because ask an Indian, what's there to solve? It's already figured out. They want to say, I figured it out. Right. I'm the one who want the prestige. But to ask native people these things takes the fun out of being the discoverer, I guess is probably a good word to use. Right. But we have a lot of things that our ancestors have seen long ago that exist that we can't explain. You know, we hear stories about Bigfoot. We hear stories of little people, and a lot of these things, you know, a great many people have seen, but can't explain it. And then if they try to explain it to somebody else, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. You lost your mind and stuff. I remember one time we were coming back from Las Vegas late at night. Left Las Vegas late, and at that time I had a girlfriend. Hey, yes, I did.
We'll talk about that later, Kenny.
Yeah. So, so I let her drive, and we were gonna. It was getting late, and somewhere in Arizona, I let her drive because I was getting tired, and she drove. We hit Cayenta, and then we're, for some reason, she was going north. So as we're going north on the road, which was 65 miles an hour at the time, and still is today, I woke up because she went off to the side, and you hear those rumble strips in the car, do 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 do, made noise. And I looked out, and I'm thinking because I just woke up. It's like, how fast are we going? That's what I'm thinking because I looked out. We weren't going very fast. So I looked over and said, hey, how fast are we going? Going 65. And I was kind of rubbing my eyes, like, you know, you could tell when you're going slow. I said, no, we're not going 65. I looked over the speedometer, it said 35. I said, the speedometer says 35. No, 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 we're going 65. She was like that, death grip on the steering wheel, straight ahead. Wouldn't look at me when I was talking. Looked at her and said, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. She just kept straight ahead. I said, why are you holding the steering wheel so tight? I mean, she had a death grip, and you could see it. And I said, we're not going 65. What'd you see? I didn't see nothing. Just kept, you know, talking. She kept looking straight. Are you sure? Why are you not looking at me? No, we're going 65. I said, okay, I'll take over. I'm awake. No. I grabbed the steering wheel because we're going so slow. I turned it a little bit, just enough to get on the road, off the road at a place that was pretty wide. And she said, no, you can't get off. That thing's going to catch us. It's going to get us. What did you see? No, that thing's going to get us. So I told her, hit the brake, I'll drive. And rather than get off, like, you know, go around the car, she crawled over the seat and got on the passenger. So I went around, hurry up, that thing's going to get us. I get in the car, buckle up, take off, 65. Say, okay, what did you see? I didn't see anything. Well, you keep saying that thing's going to get us. So we get up to Golden's, which is a famous hotel by the Mittens, and they had room. So we get a room, park, and I mean, she was just shaking, like the fear of night got into her and crying and stuff. And I said, are you okay? What did you see? She wouldn't tell me. I'm going to the bathroom. Went into the bathroom. So, okay, I'll get everything out. Walked in, closed everything. And I had my stuff. I had my smudge and everything. So I smudged all the windows, smudged the car before it came in. Went in there, turned on the TV, sat there for about 45 minutes. And I'm thinking, what? It's been in there a long time. So I went to open the door, asked, knocked on it, was locked. You okay? You okay? No answer. So it was locked. So being the expert in how to get into things, I got my little card, opened the door. She's underneath the sink crying and just all like a little ball. Grabbed her, pulled out. Are you okay? You okay? Just crying and stuff. That thing's going to come and get us. What thing? What did you see? I smudged everything. We're going to be okay. Nothing can come in. And so, here, you need to lay down and rest. You had a long day. So she said, no, I'm not going to stay on that bed. I'm going to lay down by you. I said, okay, I'll hold you. And so about that time, it's just quiet at that area. And there was like a wall by the hotel. So you got the hotel here, and then this wall, a mountain. And you could hear, and the sidewalk, you could hear something just like that walking, all fours. Then it stopped. Then it went like that on 2 feet. And so I'm laying there, and the curtain was closed. There was a street light just outside the the window, and then I could see this thing moving on the silhouette of the window, the light hitting it. And there was this thing with the deer's head, deer's face, and the body of an animal, looked like a deer standing upright, walking, then walk back. And I'm kind of like laying there, and she's like, covered up and didn't want to see. But at first she saw it and covered up real quick, holding tight, and I'm just watching this thing walk back and forth. Then about that time, fortunately, heard a car come around the corner, and it shined a light, and this thing jumped down and took off up the mountain. So I said, okay, that thing's gone now. So we try to go to sleep. I try to go to sleep thinking, what the heck did we just see? So we wake up early, go have breakfast, go over to the front desk, tell them we're checking out. This couple, probably 65, 70 years old, she was at the front desk, and she says, do you guys have strange beings or animals here that come out? And I'm just kind of drinking my coffee, and because we'll get ready to check out, and I'm listening. The lady says, well, what are you talking about? So we checked in very late. We come around a corner, and my husband said, look, and saw this thing with the animal's head standing upright, walking by this room, and then it jumps on all fours, goes up the mountain, up this steep mountain real easy, and disappears. And I'm looking at her and said, was that you coming around the corner late at night? She said, yeah, and that thing was walking back and forth. That was our room. Oh, that's what it was. And it was upright. I said, you saw that? They said, yeah. The lady, and then the front desk lady says, we get reports from time to time that animal, what we call a kachina, we tell, maybe it's a human in human form. That lady says, no, this can't be human form kachina, because it went down all fours, went up that mountain on all fours up that hill. But before we went to the front desk, I went around the vehicle to make sure there was no white powder around the truck or the car. There was nothing. So I looked at the tracks, and you could see where it dropped down on all fours. I walked alongside the tracks. It walked over, and then that dirt was soft. You could see the deer prints going up that mountain real easy, where it jumped and went up. And then we went to the front desk, and that lady saw that, and that lady confessed, yeah, we get a lot of people who see that particular being coming in this area, and sometimes people would check out, and they tell us these stories. And so I tell that lady, so what do you think? What do you do? Do you get scared? And the lady's like, yeah, do you get scared when you hear those stories? Says, yeah, but we got the Navajo medicine man who teaches us how to do things and how to protect us, and how we protect ourselves and stuff like that. So we hear that at least maybe 2-3 times a month of this thing following people here and stuff like that. But she said, so how did you encounter this thing? So I said, well, I don't know if it's important, but it's good to know that these guys saved us, because we don't know what would have happened, because it was pacing back and forth in the window, and you could see the silhouette, and crazy.
Now, why were you checking for white powder around your vehicle?
Because some of the elders long ago, they would say that skinwalkers, they're not good, they're bad. And generally, if like the old man that shot that skinwalker, maybe it's jealousy, or skinwalkers are not good. They're bad when you see them. And sometimes some of the stories that I heard long ago from some of the elders, that if a person was jealous of somebody, they would go to a specific medicine man who knew how to do those things. Tell that medicine man, I don't like so and so, I want them gone. Wants them killed. So medicine man, they pay him big bucks and stuff, and says, okay, we're going to block it so that thing don't come back. That bad medicine don't come back, but we're going to go ahead and send it. So oftentimes what would happen, according to the old stories from the elders that I used to hear, and some of these were Navajo medicine men that I knew, they would say, if you're down here, always check the vehicle for white powder. or yellow powder, corn pollen. And that corn pollen or that white powder was like bad medicine that was placed around your vehicle, so that if you stepped in it or they did something to your vehicle, you would go down the road and you get in a car wreck and you end up dead.
Wow.
So it was like a death sentence from the bad spirits or those bad people who wanted you to get rid of it. So the Ute elders at Ute Mountain, who are much more traditional and believed in that very strongly, always used to tell me, yeah, when you're down that way, always make sure there's no powder over there. And so I used to tell them, so if there's powder, what do you do? Or how do you get rid of it? You carry eagle feather with you, and you always carry cedar with you. Smudge that powder and then clear an opening so you can go through and then get in your vehicle and clear an opening where you can back out your vehicle and then drive through, but always clean it with this. And they said that's how you gonna break that circle. But if you don't do anything, you maybe down the road you'll end up in a wreck and you end up dead.
Jeez.
So yeah, and some of the Navajo medicine men used to also say that too. Because I used to ask them, I said, you guys have skinwalkers. They used to say, Utes up there used to say, this is what you do. They said, yeah, that's what you do. And I said, why do people do that? They said, that's how there's good and bad in people, and people get jealous. They don't like you, or maybe something. But sometimes those people, they just do that just to people, just to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that one thing I wanted to ask you about too, being that it's, again, Halloween, but witches. Now, I've heard about witches in Native American spirituality, those people who learn the dark spiritual ways for their end. So I don't know if you know anything about that, or if I don't know if it's true about, I don't even know if they're called witches in Native American spirituality, but I mean, people who know the dark ways. Now, are they the shapeshifters too? I mean, I don't understand like what they would do. I mean, because we hear of hoodoo and stuff like that, where you can practice, these people learn the black arts, and they can do their, whatever it is that they want to do, ceremonies, but it's always for their own benefit or for the dark end. So I didn't know if you had any knowledge about that you could share or wanted to share. I may be stepping into an area that we shouldn't be stepping into, but I'm just throwing that out there.
That's a really good question, because I deal with the supernatural in the Native American area only because of my family background, and I've conducted training to U.S. foresters, federal archaeologists, foresters, BLM, all federal. And a lot of them, I talked to them about these sacred places that our ancestors left, that our ancestors were powerful people. And the people who are alive today, those who deal in healing people, helping people, are not as powerful as our ancestors were long ago. Even every Native woman was powerful because she had her own power compared to today, because we lost so much. Whether it's because we don't believe in it, because we've been indoctrinated into non-native thinking. But one time we were down in New Orleans, we were down there, I was giving a talk down there to the largest archaeological conference in the world. And we were touring, what's that famous place in New Orleans? Anyway, French Quarter. Yeah, the French Quarter. And we walked into this voodoo shop. We said, hey, voodoo shop. And of course, all of us in archaeologists, hey, let's go check it out. And they looked at me and they said, you going to come in? It's voodoo. I said, yeah, I'll go in. But I told them, so whatever you do, don't touch anything. Somebody opens that door, go ahead, go through. I said, people come down here. I teach you guys about the spiritual realm. A lot of things around the world is unknown. Voodoo is an unknown thing. But we're going to see something, and we may feel something, and don't touch it. don't pick up anything because you don't know what it ceremony or just the item. So he walked in and we're walking around. And I'm looking around. You see all these voodoo dolls, sticks, just like yeah, sticks poking through the dolls and stuff, and they'd be asking questions. What's that for? Oh, that's if you don't like somebody who looks like that, you should punish them or hurt them. So there was a back room. There's some stuff back there you guys might want to go see. And so we went back there. So all the white archaeologists or non-natives are standing at the doorway. And I said, how come you guys don't go in? No, we're waiting for you. Because this is the back part, they said. Oh, the guinea pig. They all started laughing. Yeah, because we feel safer with you going in. So I walked in. I kind of said, let me say a quick prayer. Walked in. I took 2 steps in, looked around. Okay, you guys, don't touch anything in here at all. Don't even touch the shelving, the glass shelves and stuff. I said, there's some real stuff in here. Out there was nothing. It was all tourist stuff. In here, things were gone into ceremony. Walked in. The store owner walks in and says, how come you stopped? Some of these things were in ceremony. How did you know? Because he could feel it. And it wasn't good ceremony. He said, that's what I hear. And so he walked in. We said, that one's okay, right? He said, yeah, that was just brought in. They said they just made it. That one over there was different. That was in ceremony. Yep, that was in ceremony. You know which ones were ceremony? He said, yeah. So he said, okay, which ones? That one, that one, that one. That one wasn't very good. He said, yeah, that's what we hear. Some bad things happen there. That one, that one. And the guy happens to be from the Caribbean, where the voodoo is really predominant. And he said, yeah, from time to time we'll buy stuff, and other voodoo priests will come in, they'll buy that, things that were in ceremony. They can feel it. But you're native, aren't you? He said, yeah. He says, natives are tied to the culture and stuff. And so we went back out, and archaeologists, we stood outside, and because they're archaeologists, they're trained in the scientific realm. They said, is this what you've been trying to tell us, that the native people and the spirits and the sites that we've seen, they have something special? And those things that voodoo, that we always thought was just voodoo, just dolls, and actually exist? I said, yeah. That cultures around the world are unexplainable, like witches and warlocks. The other interesting thing was when I lived in Glenwood Springs, from a personal experience, I used to go eat at this one place, and downstairs they had a shop, devils and warlock kind of stuff. And so I got to be friends with the owner. She used to tell me, you need to go down there, and because I did a lot of stuff. They used to read it in the newspaper about the youth size protection stuff. Says, you need to go down there, clean that out, get rid of that store because it's eerie, it's scary. I said, really? He said, yeah, how do you get down there? I said, go down that way, go down. And I just kind of laughed. And finally I said, somebody came up, and it was this young kid, probably 18 years old, dressed up in a warlock kind of thing. And she's like pointing in. I'm eating my meal, and I'm looking over. I started laughing. She's like, that's too funny, Kenny. And I started laughing. I said, you're kidding me. He's dressed up like a warlock, and he's got makeup on. Oh, you need to go clean up. And I'm looking, and so I walk over to him, and he's sitting with the lady. So I'm sitting there, and he said, Kenny, you're asking for trouble. I said, well, you're the one that told me to go over there to be nosy. Well, you didn't say, but I could catch your undertone. So I walk over. She said, be careful. And so I go over, start talking. And of course, they're talking about all these ceremonies of witches and warlocks and stuff, and even invited me to one. So they were having one on this, Halloween, just day before Halloween. So I said, you going to be around for Halloween? I said, yeah. You're invited to come down to the ceremony. You willing to take part? No. I don't do that kind of stuff, but I'll come watch if it's okay. Yeah, come on down. So at midnight, 11 something, I go down. People are starting to come in, and some of the people I know from the community, and I'm like, holy gosh, I didn't say that. It's like more of a profanity word. In my mind, I'm thinking, so and so's a witch and a warlock. Kind of like in shock because these are predominant people in the community, and come in and they wave in, hey, how you doing? They go about their thing and they go to their little areas, and I'm just kind of sitting on this stool, not touching anything because I remember not to touch anything. So I'm watching these people, and they start undressing, get totally naked. Women put on their little gowns and they're putting on their warlock kind of stuff, and I'm just watching all these naked people around and putting on their stuff. I didn't know what to think, and I'm thinking to myself, what the heck did I get myself into? And so I'm sitting there watching. They start getting us candles, the pentagram, the whole thing, and they're doing this. And they said, "Come on in, you can join the circle." No, I'm just sitting here watching. I'm gonna sit right here outside the circle. I'm watching them go through this whole ceremony, and I'm thinking, and this lady who's leading this from California, who's lived there for a while, and these young kids were coming in that were being indoctrinated in high school, and they're teaching them stuff, and I'm thinking, this is wrong. And so they would continue on, and they take a break in their ceremony. They said, "You're welcome to come in." And no, I'm done. I gotta go use the bathroom. But I went home and smudged myself real good, and thinking. Then next day I go get something to eat, and I told the owner, I said, she said, "Did you go to that ceremony?" Because I told her what happened. I got invited. I told her, I said, "God, you won't believe what I saw." I said, "So and so from there, the other person, I don't know their names, but they do this and stuff." She mentioned her name. Yeah, that one and that lady and stuff. And they brought these kids in. They were teaching them. And really, I said, "Yeah, that's what happened." And I said, "What do you think?" I said, some of the things I could feel that they had there were just nothing. Some things were, yeah, it's real. Like kind of feeling, I said, I can sense that. And what they were doing, that one session with the pentagram, they did something. I just didn't watch. You could feel that power come in, and then it didn't manifest itself into a full power. It like disappeared. And but they took it as, it really happened. The power was there, but I could sense it just dissipated because they do it fully. They didn't open Pandora's box, so it only went halfway. But I could feel that, and that's why I went home to smudge myself because that's when I was thinking, what the hell did I get myself into? And because there's some things I got myself into where I had to get myself back out. So the lady who comes up from California, I said, that's the one that's from California. She did that. Yeah, she lives over here somewhere. So I said, well, I'm going to take care of this. And so I sat down with her. She recognized me, says, well, how'd you like the ceremony? Interesting, really interesting. Never been to anything like that. Oh, so she's talking and stuff. We got to get more of the young kids involved and stuff. So I reached over, touched her hand, and I said, I said, whatever you have, I'm going to take it away from you because you got no business doing this. And you have no business doing this and bringing young kids into this cult or whatever this thing is that you have. And you're not going to be able to do this to hurt, harm, or to use people. And she's sitting there and she says, I can feel the power draining from you. What are you doing to me? I said, you're not going to do this. Like I said, took it. And she's like, she says, oh, I feel weak. I feel dizzy. I feel you're doing something to me. And so I said, okay, that, you're not going to do that no more. You're going to go back, be a normal person because whatever you have, it's not good. You have the ability. Maybe you studied witchcraft and stuff and you opened that box and you elevated yourself. And so this guy comes up, and I'm looking at him, and she comes right over to our table, sits down, and I can sense because in people, we all have the ability, oh, that one's not good. I get bad vibes. Well, that was the vibe we got from him. And she's talking to him, says, I can't do it no more. Compared to him, I'm a babe in the woods, and he just took whatever I had. And he's like looking at her and says, you don't look good. He says, I feel good, but I'm not doing this anymore. And he says, but you have to, you're the leader. And he was pure evil. And you could feel it. And he was getting after her. He says, no, you got to do this. And I said, well, I got to go. I'm got to get ready to leave. So I go up there. The bar owner says, what'd you do to her? Her face was like this, now drained. I took away whatever she had. Kenny, I don't know what you did, but she's not the normal person. And he walked out. She walked out, says, I'm going to be closing the store. She told him and stuff because we can't do this anymore. So the owner says, whatever you want to eat, anytime for a whole month, you can eat free. You did it. You got rid of them. And so there's those things that witches and warlocks, yeah, they exist. They're real. Only because from personal experience, I could sense that they have the ability in some of the things that people do. So it puts you back to the Salem witches era, which we all know about, that those people had probably, whether it was a cult, whether there were certain people who had that ability, like Native people can do certain things, that people around the world can also do those same things. So it's like, I remember the elders used to say, never question anything, but just accept those things, but never try to interfere or get in the way of it, because you could end up getting hurt. Mm-hmm. That's all those spiritual beings and the spirits that we have out there. We just don't know. Right. But yet we know they do exist. And, you watch the movies and you see sometimes in movie scenes, it's like, what a good example with Will Sampson. I'll use him in the Poltergeist. I was telling my grandmother to her, and she's watching it, and she says, he shouldn't do that because he did this. He opened that door, and I said, yeah, you could feel it through the movies that those things do happen, and our people can have that ability. And then when they play with it so much, like in Will, wanted to make the movies as actual as possible, but for the viewing audience to understand the spiritual realm, he did it. And it took the life of that little girl and the crew that they just stopped the Poltergeist series. And even some of the documentary of the Poltergeist era movies, they talked about that they opened up Pandora's box, and that's what took the crew and cast members from that. Mm-hmm. So that's why, our elders always say, be careful, smudge, take care of yourself, use your feathers, so that way nothing. And even when you doctor people or smudge people, at the end they always say, yeah, you're helping the people. You smudge yourself too, you're under your feet. So that way whatever those people have doesn't jump onto you, and you cleanse yourself too.
Right. Well, Kenny, we're going to have to end. It's been a delight, and I want to say thank you so much. We both want to say thank you.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah.
Very informative.
And thank you to everyone for listening to Kenny. And Kenny, you are a wealth of knowledge and so many stories that you shared with us. Thank you so much. I want to do part 3, but can't be too greedy. But we'll upload this, and I'm sure we'll get plenty of people who are interested. I actually posted this on Facebook as like telling my friends, and they were all interested. Even people I didn't think would be interested, they were sending me messages. So I know that there's going to be quite an audience for this. But I guess that's really about it. We have to get going.
Yeah, one last thing. I want to thank everybody for viewing and listening and watching. I'm sure that everyone has some type of experience, and I didn't really tell all the scary ones because sometimes those ones can always be told at a later date. But this is a good path. There's things out there that we can explain, and we'll never be able to explain. Even scientific people can't explain, but yet they do exist. And so, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Kenny. Take
Yeah.
care.
Go smudge yourself.
Go smudge yourself. Oh, we'll be smudging. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
Happy
bye.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween.